Hi everybody. The 20th century was a turn point when humanity's economy, culture, and technology flourished like never before. And to decide who was the strongest, the nations of the world chose to punch each other. In 1914, a war broke out on a scale the world had never seen. A war so massive they called it the War to End All Wars. Today we know it by a different name. In the early 20th century, most Western countries followed imperialist colonialism. To put it simply, colonialism meant that powerful nations would send troops to bully weaker ones, expanding their territory, exploiting them, and stealing their resources to enrich themselves. This mindset began in Europe as early as the 16th century. Britain, France, and Russia were among the earliest imperial powers, and they had already taken over most of the countries in Africa and Asia as colonies. At this time, Germany was rising as a new imperial power. Its economy had already surpassed France's and ranked second in the world. However, because it developed late, all the colonial land had already been taken. Germany plotted to force Britain, France, and Russia to give up some of their territories. But Germany couldn't do it alone, so it called up Austria-Hungary and Italy. If you help me steal land from Britain, France, and Russia, I'll treat you guys to lollipops. Okay? And so, Germany, Austria-Hungary, and Italy decided to form a gang and called themselves the Alliance Gang. They started arming up, getting ready to grab land and redraw the world map. Sensing that their colonies were being eyed, Britain, France, and Russia also teamed up and formed their own gang, calling it the Entente Gang. Then both gangs began recruiting more teammates, bringing in other countries to join their side. And just like that, the atmosphere on Earth grew more tense than ever before. Austria-Hungary and Serbia already hated each other. One fine day, the Archduke of Austria-Hungary and his wife went out for a drive in a convertible. Knowing their route in advance, Serbia sent an assassin to take out the Archduke. The assassin waited, ready to throw a bomb at their car, but the bomb missed and hit the car behind, carrying part of the royal entourage. The assassination attempt failed, but then the Archduke decided to visit the wounded, and in a twist of fate, he ran into the same assassin who this time didn't miss, and gave him a final mercy shot. Austria-Hungary went ballistic. They blamed Serbia, even though there was no solid proof. They sent Serbia an ultimatum packed with unreasonable demands and gave them 48 hours to respond or face war. Serbia totally ignored it, so Austria-Hungary declared war. In truth, Austria-Hungary never expected Serbia to respond. The letter was just an excuse, a way to justify starting the war. And so, the domino effect began in Europe. Russia, as Serbia's ally, declared war on Austria-Hungary. Germany, backing Austria-Hungary, declared war on Russia. Russia called in France to gang up on Germany. Germany sent an ultimatum to France, asking them to stay out of it, but France was still salty. They hadn't forgotten how Germany beat them badly in the 1870 war and stole 2 of their cities. So for France, this was the perfect chance for payback. France declared war on Germany. Germany launched its lightning war strategy. Quick attack, quick victory. The plan: defeat France in 40 days, then turn around and crush Russia. But France had strong fortresses along the border, so Germany decided to go around through Belgium. Belgium was neutral, but when its territory got invaded, it fought back fiercely. On the way, German troops massacred civilians and priests, which made Germany look terrible in the eyes of the world. The US ground still neutral at this point, but started to feel uneasy about Germany. Meanwhile, Britain was also neutral, but when it saw Germany stomping through Belgium, it got worried its own borders might be next. Britain sent an ultimatum demanding Germany pull out of Belgium. Germany ignored it, so Britain officially joined the war, sending troops to help defend France. At this point, even though Germany was fighting the armies of 2 countries, they had superior modern weapons and managed to push back British and French forces, getting dangerously close to capturing Paris. But then, surprise! Russia attacked Germany's eastern border earlier than expected. Austria-Hungary tried to hold the line, but their army was too weak to stop Russia, so Germany had to pull troops back from the Western Front to help Austria-Hungary, which gave France the chance to counterattack and save Paris. And then, things stalled. Germany and France, both exhausted, started digging trenches and sat there defending. No one could win, they just kept shooting at each other for 4 long years. Life in the trenches? Disgusting, wet, full of rats, dead bodies, disease, and worst of all, no Netflix. Germany originally planned to defeat France in 40 days, but after 4 years, they still hadn't won. The lightning war plan totally collapsed. And just as Germany tried to catch its breath, bam, another surprise. Seeing that Germany was surrounded in Europe, Japan took the opportunity to seize German territories in China and the Pacific. Italy was originally a friend of Germany, but the Allied powers lured Italy with the promise of dividing Austria-Hungary's lands, so Italy switched sides. Germany and Austria-Hungary were angry and declared war on Italy. The Ottoman Empire, hating Russia, joined the Central Powers and crossed the Kakashi Mountains, Red the Caucasus, to attack Russia. But they didn't expect the brutal cold. Thousands of Ottoman soldiers froze to death. Then came a dark chapter. The Ottomans carried out genocide, killing nearly 1 million Armenians because Armenians lived within Ottoman territory but were seen as too friendly with Russia, sharing the same religion, a shameful stain in history. While countries were switching sides, grabbing land, and backstabbing each other, Germany finally ran out of patience and decided to go dirty. Ignored international treaties, bombed civilians, used chemical weapons on Britain, sank cargo ships to steal food and weapons. One of the ships sunk by the Germans was an American ship. Then Germany made a huge mistake. They secretly sent a telegram to Mexico saying, "Hey, if you attack the US, we'll back you up and help you take back Texas." But the message was intercepted by British intelligence before it reached Mexico and was passed straight to the US. The American public was furious. At first, the US had planned to stay out, just sell weapons and make profits. But now, Germany was attacking American ships and trying to drag Mexico into war with the US? That was the last straw. At this point, Britain and France were exhausted. Germany thought it was about to win and began celebrating early, but the United States entered the war with a powerful force. The situation changed completely. Germany was pushed back quickly, and within a few months lost all the territory it had captured. While Germany was being devastated by the United States, on the other side of the map, Russia was beginning to disintegrate. Russia had been fighting for too long. The people were starving, the soldiers were poorly trained, and the generals were useless, so the people rebelled. Lenin rose up and led the October Revolution, overthrew the Tsar, established the Soviet Union. Lenin pulled out of the war, giving up land to Germany to save the country. With Russia out, Germany shifted its forces to the Western Front, aiming for a final blow. But the American troops were too strong. Germany got completely overwhelmed. By the end of 1918, Germany officially lost the war. The German Kaiser fled to the Netherlands. The German, Austro-Hungarian, and Ottoman empires collapsed. Germany was forced to sign the Treaty of Versailles, losing territory, dismantling its army, and paying billions of dollars in war reparations. The war was over. The winners were battered. The losers were in ruins. But the price the world paid was beyond imagination. 10 million people killed. 20 million wounded, 1.5 billion people dragged into the war. The US was the only country that came out wealthier. Wow. World War I ended, and everyone thought it would be a lesson remembered forever. But no, the injustice that followed the war ended up creating something even more horrifying. And 20 years later, those very injustices in the Treaty of Versailles gave rise to a man named... He exploited the loopholes in the Treaty of Versailles to build a new empire and launched a new war, one with a scale and level of devastation far greater than the First World War. That war is known today as